Welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you for joining us. Going to have a conversation with returning guest Jennifer Flynn. She's a healthcare risk manager, and she's joining us to talk about the 2019 Healthcare Provider Service Organization's Counselor Liability Claim Report, talking about some of the liabilities that counselors have to deal with on a daily basis. Welcome back to the program, Jennifer. How have you been?
Great, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Now, I understand that there's a report, this 2019 HPSO Counselor Liability Claim Report. Counselor liability. I guess they've got liability just like any other healthcare provider.
Correct, yes. Counselors, because they are licensed professionals, can be sued for malpractice, and so we provide that and protecting their license coverage under the policy.
Now, is this all types of counselors, drug counselors, psychologists, the whole
Exactly, yes. Across the country, and depending on the licensure of the counselor, we cover all different types of counselors, licensed professional counselors, LPCCs, you name it. Yes, all of those specialties as well.
Are we talking simply a loss of license, the ability to practice, or are we talking it can go a lot farther than that, like with surgeons and general practitioners?
Sure. So in the malpractice cases, the counselor is, there are allegations made against the counselor for negligent practice, and that's a civil lawsuit. So while there might be the lawsuit and maybe even a trial, lawsuits are really there to, quote unquote, make the patient or client whole for their injury. And so the courts will attach a monetary damage to resolve the claims. On the other hand, a counselor can also have a complaint made to their licensing or regulatory board in the state, and the regulatory board they have the authority to not only investigate all claims, but the result of that or the outcome can be anything ranging from, the counselor might have to go to more continuing education classes, all the way to a more severe outcome of either license suspension or revocation. So there's two sides to that coin of malpractice, and depending on the client making the complaint or actually going to an attorney to initiate a lawsuit, they could have different outcomes.
Are counselors dealing with the same risks that counselors have always had to deal with, or has society changed in such a way to increase the liability toward counselors?
So the elements of proving malpractice are the same against counselors as they would be any other licensed professional. And very simply put, there has to be a duty to the client, there has to be a breach of that duty, and the client had to sustain an injury directly related to the actions or failure to act of that counselor. And the injury in a lot of these cases could be emotional injury, psychological injury, and so the patient or client can initiate a lawsuit. So the elements there are no different from any other provider. We have seen an increase in claims and license complaints against counselors. This 2019 report is actually the second report that HPSO has published analyzing claims against counselors, and really it's twofold. It's one, that there are more counselors that we're insuring, but two, I think services to counselors have increased over the years, and so more clients are taking advantage of counseling services.
When it comes to a frivolous claim, someone doesn't like the fact that a counselor went to court and testified and they lost custody of their child through no fault of the counselor, simply, doing their job. What about things that a patient wants to bring that are unfounded? How much of the cost of proving it unfounded does the client have to incur?
So That's a great question. And, a lot of the incidents that we see in any given year against counselors might be reported to us. And there's always a portion that do not make it to any further down the legal road. The counselor might be dismissed. And there are costs attached to that. Expenses to just manage that incident until its resolution. But I would say the scenario where the real true costs will come in would be when the claim does have merit, and the counselor will have to defend themselves either with the regulatory board or in a malpractice lawsuit. And if negligence is proven, we see on average with this latest report that it's costing a counselor around an average of $113,000 to resolve those malpractice claims when negligence is proven.
And that is not something that is going to be recovered. It's basically the cost of doing business.
Well, that cost actually comes out of their professional liability insurance policy. So it's it's not only the attorney fees, the court costs, but it's also the indemnity payment, or that payment that is made to the injured third party that comes out of the liability policy. So the counselor is protected in that way if they choose to take out their own policy.
When I asked that question about frivolous claims, would you say that drug counselors have a lower liability of risks than, say, a marriage counselor, or does it really matter? Does it all depend on what the situation, what happens in that counseling session or outside that counseling session? Is it all based on each individual case?
I would say it's based on each individual case. Each case has its own unique aspects to it, meaning that it's not just the circumstances surrounding the case, what the counselor did or did not do for that client, but it also could be the venue or the laws in that state. So it really is dependent upon, what might be happening with each unique situation. We did analyze claims against counselors by that specialty or licensure level, and we found that many of the claims were, 26% of the claims were against mental health counselors, when only a smaller percentage, about 13%, were against alcohol and drug counselors, and about 14% against marriage and family counselors. So we didn't see any counseling specialty that stuck out as having, let's say, more claims than the number of insureds we have in each state. So nothing that stuck out to us as a specialty that had those more claims, but we do analyze the claims by specialty just to see what's going on within those categories.
And wrapping up, Jennifer, when it comes to a counselor's reputation, a claim has been filed, it's been determined that there was no wrongdoing. Are there provisions based on a counselor maybe having to change location based on the outcome or the lack of outcome, maybe have to change a city or a company? Are those types of things covered as well?
So because our policy covers counselors working in each state and in each practice setting, we cover counselors again working in all of those types of scenarios. I wouldn't say that if there is a action against a counselor that they could easily pick up and move. The actions. If a counselor is found negligent, either in a malpractice case or even in a board complaint, those actions are reported to the National Practitioner Data Bank. And so clients and employers can find those actions, on the board's website or through the database. And so those actions become public. So it's hard to escape those, but we certainly find that having an attorney representing you in both of those cases, knowing your practice act in any state that you're working in, understanding the laws and regulations around that practice in your state and with those client interactions, they would probably be our top 3 recommendations for counselors to keep safe, not only in their practice, but also to protect their clients from, to have a positive outcome as well.
Where can we go online and learn some more, Jennifer, about your organization and about this latest report from HPSO?
Yeah, so the report is on hpso.com/counselor claim report, and you can find even more information, newsletters, legal cases, risk management articles to help counselors have safe practice. So everything's available on hpso.com.
Great. Jennifer, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming back and hoping to talk with you again soon.
Great. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au.
Thank you for listening to Health Professional Radio. We're very proud to be an independent broadcaster providing our content free of charge to you, the listener. One of the ways that we're able to remain free and independent is by having people like you become patrons. You can support Health Professional Radio simply by visiting hpr.fm and clicking the button that says Become a Patron. Your patronage of even just $1 a month lets us know that you're there, which in turn makes us more valuable to advertisers. And, of course, if you're able to afford more, then we would certainly appreciate the support. My name is Toby Longhurst from Health Professional Radio. Please visit hpr.fm, click the Become a Patron button, and support us if you can.